Hi, I'm Katie Bray, and today I want to talk about Ayurveda, which I usually hear who? It's Ayurveda. And it's something I love to talk about because it is partly the basis of the way that I work. And for me, I was led back to Ayurveda through a lot of interesting serendipities. And for me, it felt very much like a homecoming. It was something that was incredibly familiar to me, that I knew right away was just part of the fabric of my soul. But what Ayurveda is a 5,000-year-old system from the Vedic culture, from India. And it literally means the science of life. Some people say the wisdom or knowledge of life, so you might hear different interpretations for that one word. But really, in its essence, it is the way that the Vedic culture, thousands of years ago, the seers and the rishis of the time knew how our intrinsic nature was related to the cosmic forces and to the earth, and how there was this incredible interplay between the different levels of who we are. There's different layers. They call them the koshas, but there's different layers of who we are. And it is sort of this representation of microcosm, macrocosm. And so there is this beautiful dance that these Vedic masters understood that we represented. And so one of the very basic, this is going to be a very, very introductory level video because Ayurveda is vast. There's so much to it. But this beautiful system breaks people down into what they call doshas. And the doshas we might call in Western terms temperaments. And what they are is they are the different elements of what make up the universe. So I know a lot of people are familiar with Chinese medicine, and so it's similar in that way. Although Ayurveda does predate Chinese medicine, there are some similarities. Now, the 5 primary elements in Ayurveda are air and space, fire, water, and earth and water. So the fire and water, that's one temperament called Pitta. The air and space is Vata, and earth and water is Kapha. Now, in the Pitta, it's fire and water, but it's more of like an oily type of water, whereas Kapha is more like, think of the water of the earth, the ocean, salt water. Now, each one of us is born with a dominant dosha, if you will. And then we will, through life, we have our nature, and then our nature is nurtured in particular ways, and that becomes what could be our imbalance, okay? Or it could be our balance, it depends. So what Ayurveda looks at is who we are here to be, what our natural settings are, if you will, and looks at it in relationship to our lifestyle. Now, our nature is going to have a lot of similarities to what the elements are. So our nature, our temperament, is going to really align with these different elements. I'm going to give an example. I'll use myself as an example. I'm considered Pitta Vata. I'm primarily Pitta, but my Vata can get pretty high. So in layman's terms, that is the fire, water, and air and space. Now, what that looks like for me is I am very tenacious. I'm very motivated. You give me a list of things to do and I'll have it done yesterday. I'll check. it can also look like burnout. It can look like flare-ups of irritation when I'm not balanced, where when my vata comes out, when my air and space comes out, I can be my own worst enemy, because if I'm imbalanced in my vata, I can be incredibly scattered. And for the fire part of me, that can be really hard, because my natural default is to be very fiery and very like on point and focused. And on the days that I have trouble focusing and I'm all over the place, I can feel pretty irritated. Now, when my vata is balanced, I am very intuitive. I'm in a very creative place. Those are the days where I'm really generating these beautiful ideas, because air and space represents potential. That's the place of potential and movement. So there is these creative forces that come through the vata or the air and space. And it's such a beautiful place to be. It's even more beautiful when I'm balanced enough in my pitta or my fire where I can bring it through and take action. It doesn't always happen that way. But in an ideal scenario, they work together. They work in tandem. Now, there's a lot of things that can impact our dosha or our temperament. So, for me, as much as I love hot weather, like a moth to the flame, I know that if I am in excessively hot weather, the fire in me can erupt. It's just too much fire on fire. So I do best in climates that are a little bit more temperate. Really, Ayurvedically, it'd be wonderful if I loved rainy, cooler places, more of that kapha, that earth and water. But I don't like those so much. It tends to make me feel a little too gray. So I do very well in temperate climates. So there's a lot of physical characteristics that will give us information about a person's dosha, because it is very much related to how we're made. Our dosha is set in stone at the time of conception. And depending on how we are nurtured and how we ultimately nurture ourselves in our lives will really give us varying degrees of balance or imbalance, harmony or disharmony. So this is really a very almost elementary sort of tutorial about Ayurveda and how it works from that one perspective. So I'm going to take the conversation another step. In Ayurveda, one of the things that we use a lot of are the 5 primary senses. There's one saying that I've always loved, that I heard from one of my first teachers is, that the 5 senses are a gateway to the soul. And the way that I understand that now, which is very different from the way that I understood it 15 years ago when I started studying or started relearning Ayurveda, is that our nervous systems are so overly taxed in today's world and throwing the majority of people into significant imbalances. And when we can work with our senses, with our 5 primary senses, we can bring our nervous systems back into a place where we can find some level of harmony within ourselves. And so when we find the harmony within ourselves and we return to our center, what is available to us is intuition, is living a life of flow, is understanding how to relax. It takes us into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the more relaxed state, where our vagus nerve is online so that we can actually even get to what some would call a relaxation response, which feels almost unreachable to many people right now because so many are living in the sympathetic nervous system, which is the one that is constantly experiencing stress. That's where the fight, flight, freeze is very active, and that's where a lot of people live. So when we can soothe and utilize our 5 primary senses in the way that it relates to our dosha, for example, Someone who has a lot of fire like myself, the best foods for me to eat are cooling, are wet. Think of a fire that can go out of control. What are the things that you would put on that out of control fire? I slow myself down. I do methodical pranayama or breathing techniques, wearing cool colors. Using the sight, doing daily massage called Abhyanga, and making sure that I use cooling essential oils, and that I'm doing a little bit more of a medium pace where I'm nurturing and slowing myself down a little bit. These are all things that are simple, and yet they literally return me back home to myself, where my nervous system can keep me grounded, relaxed, actively alert, and yet in a relaxed state. And so why I think that at this point in this time of the world is not only is Ayurveda, it's first and foremost, it's the original medical system, where the whole person was treated, not the symptoms and not the issues, but a root cause of some kind of disease is treated. But what's more beautiful than that is that people naturally practice Ayurveda, or people who do, can tell when there is a disturbance in the force before it actually lands in the physical body. And so there is a way that we can consistently be so in touch with our own energy systems that we can soothe and keep ourselves in a state of relaxation, alert relaxation, so that we don't have to worry so much about creating disease in the body. We don't have to worry so much about stress completely taxing and depleting our systems, or those of us who are highly empathic feeling constantly drained. Ayurveda works with all of those things before they become a really bad physical manifestation or a bad psychological manifestation. And where we are in the world right now, I don't think that there's a more important time that we go back to this incredible system that is rich with wisdom, with higher consciousness, with accessible to everyone ways to keep our nervous system in check. We need this now more than ever, because when our nervous systems are in check, we're healthy, we're vital, we are resilient, we can handle stress in productive ways. We are centered, we are intuitive. These are all things that we have access to. And we can use food, we can use scent, we can use mantra, we can use meditation, we can use breath, we can use all of these things that either cost no money, or they are things we're going to eat every day anyway, right? So why not eat the things that actually balance us out? Because it does depend on your dosha. But these are all things that are available to everyone. It's effective, it's efficient, and it's accessible. And it's hugely powerful. And I feel very strongly that it is the way that we can see consciousness, see higher consciousness, and see the globe through this huge transitional period. And as we embark on the journey into the new earth, that we go there feeling centered and feeling whole and feeling relaxed in a different kind of way, being connected to our soul. And so I really believe that Ayurveda is probably one of the most powerful ways, or the practices that come with Ayurveda is one of the most, if not the most powerful and most profound ways that we can see ourselves through in this next stage of our humanity, of this next stage of our development. So I encourage you to explore Ayurveda, your dosha. You can certainly contact me if you would like to learn more. If you'd like to have a session, I wrap my sessions up with a lot of energy work and my intuition and Ayurvedic practices for people. But there's a lot of information out there. So if this resonates with you and you want support, please go find it, because I really think that this is our way into the next stage of our development. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, make sure you subscribe. You can like it as well, and you can watch more of my videos right over here.